Today's guest is Farrell Middleton, the founder of the Bell Curve of Life, who is also a teacher, a speaker, and an author committed to helping individuals and organizations unlock their potential and achieve high performance. He's got this mission to drive meaningful change and focuses on fostering positive attitudes, building strong communication skills, cultivating healthy relationships, and enhancing team dynamics. By equipping these individuals and leaders with actionable strategies, he ensures they can thrive in environments designed for sustained success, which is what we all want. I've invited Farrell on for a conversation because he has a new book called A Performer, A Environment. And let's talk about how we all can become A performers and create places where people want to work. So Farrell, welcome to the show.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I am very excited to be with you and your audience today. Really appreciate it.
We met a few weeks ago, and actually, we've had a couple of conversations, and every time there's a lot of dynamics in there. I know we're going to have one today as well.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. So, Farrell, your work is about helping people elevate to A-level performers, while at the same time empowering business owners and leaders to cultivate A-level environments. Could you share a little bit about your background and the experiences that have shaped your work that you do today?
Sure. No, thank you. Yeah, on the personal side of things, it's all about people, so we'll start there. I am a lifelong Georgian. I grew up in Savannah, moved to Atlanta in 1982 to go to college. I married my high school sweetheart. Her name is Kathy. In 1986, we met in early 1981, way back when. We have two adult daughters who are married, and they live here in the Atlanta area as well. And we are first-time grandparents. We have a 10-month-old grandson, and we are very excited about that. So we're just in a wonderful stage of life, and I decided that I was ready to move on to my second career of being again a teacher, speaker, and now author. And so I did that a couple of years ago. But professionally, I went to Georgia Tech. I graduated with honors in 1986 with a degree in building construction. I then entered the home building field in the Atlanta area, and Atlanta home building has been at the top or led the nation in housing volume for decades now. So it was an excellent place to be for that career. I was a manager at the age of 22, and I've touched about 10,000 houses in some form or fashion in my career while holding high-level positions with both public and private companies. And now I am in the people business, and I'm a practical guy with practical experiences that I want to share with as many people as I can to help them live a better life. It's really that simple. It might sound kind of corny or whatever, but that's my goal in life. I'm 60 years old. I've got a lot of years left, and I am so excited about my new direction.
Yes, we all want to live better lives. So I know we're going to gain some wisdom from you today, Farrell. So one thing you emphasize in your work is the 20-60-20 principle. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, on how that looks in both personal and professional settings?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the basic bell curve. Again, the name of my company is called the Bell Curve of Life. And we all remember the bell curve theory from middle school. 20% are in the upper range, 60% are in the middle, and 20% are in the lower range of behavior, skills, performance, and results. Mm-hmm. And what I want to do, again, both personally and professionally, I've got material for both sides of life, and actually just kind of intertwines. When I'm meeting with professionals, it drifts into personal life as well. There's no doubt about it. So the lines get very fuzzy there with intention. But basically, my goal is to help individuals get into that top 20% of, again, behavior, skills, performance, and results. And a big part of that is, how do we identify the areas that matter to them? You can't be great at everything, but I think you can be really good at most of what you choose to do on a routine basis. So my directive is to help people identify what are the areas that are important to them, personally and professionally, and let's focus on those. So for example, with me in my sports at this age, I'm a golfer. I'm a 6 handicap in golf, top 20%. I'm a B-level tennis player. I'm in the middle. Put a bowling ball in my hand, I won't even get to 100. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't bowl. If I wanted to bowl, I'd be better, but pick what matters to you and focus on it and get better at it. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to help people do.
Yeah, that's good. And I think, so many times if you think about, we always tend to go to our deficiencies and want to make those better. But if we can focus on the things that we're already good at or the things that we're great at, how much better could that be? So I really appreciate that. So,
On that note, real quick,
yeah.
that is an outstanding point. And for example, that's what pro athletes do. They are the best at what they do, but they keep wanting to get better. And one of my thoughts is with whatever you're seeing, everybody's got a skill. Okay. They just have to find it and nurture it. I have two goals when I do get in this information with people is number one, get even better at what you're really good at. People
Mhm.
will seek you out for it. If you are that go-to person, they will find you.
Yeah.
And again, the other areas that are either of need or desire that are going to make your life better, make your life of those around you better, either work associates, family, personal friends, whatever, work on those, get better at it. But you
Yeah.
dismiss stuff that's not of value to you and move on to things that matter. So that's what I really try to work with people on.
That's nice. That's nice. And I do want to call out, you referenced the blur between personal and professional. I always believe personal development is professional development. You don't keep that separate. We bring it all together. So as we look at the Bell Curve of Life program, how do you serve individuals and organizations, Farrell?
Okay, well, basically, what I like to do with that is when I do engage with my clients, and I do group settings, I do one-on-one mentoring, I have some public speaking stuff that I do. I give presentations to local business associations, things like that. But basically, how I engage is by starting identifying. I've identified traits of A performers,
Mhm.
and they are attitude. Starts with attitude. We'll probably talk about that a fair amount today. Another big one I'm getting great feedback on is wake up frame of mind.
Hmm.
Your day starts when you pull your head up off your pillow.
Yeah.
It'll be the indicator of a good day, a mediocre day, or a poor day. Now, yes, other factors will come into play with weather and traffic and kids and pets and all the stuff that makes life go around, but it starts when you pull your head up off your pillow.
Mhm.
So that's a big one that I focus on. Relationship building, communication skills. And what I like to do is when I work with people is I help them identify the areas, number one, that they're good at. And I don't think we do this enough, Lisa. I think that we really don't pat ourselves on the back. We don't celebrate even the smallest of milestones. We just get so darn busy with stuff. But I like to stop and reflect, and I like to start with, okay, what are you good at? Okay. And then let's identify the areas that you might want to make some improvements in. Like, again, like I said, communication skills, relationship building, whatever it may be. But we start with the individual on the A performer material. And, again, those traits are A, B, and C level performers. Look, I've been a D level performer as well in my career. Okay. It's happened before. We won't dig into that, but I've been there. I've been all of them. But on the environment side of things, what we work on is the components of A environments and do the same thing. And I've got a handful of those. They're vision, leadership, structure, commitment, and a few other ones. When I work with business owners and leaders, again, we find the pain points that aren't working as well as they would like them to. And that's what we focus on. Again, after we've identified the areas that they are succeeding in.
Mhm.
And what I like to try to do is, okay, if you're succeeding in this area, how are you doing that? And how can you translate that to other areas that need some attention and need some improvement? That's how it works.
Right. And I love that you're already doing this well here. Are there things that you can take over into other areas? It's really just taking and replicating it over, but maybe in a different context.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, we've all talked about this as well. If you can take a step back and just look at your overall environment, whether personally or professionally, with an objective lens,
Hmm.
that's when you can really open your mind and really start saying, okay, you know what? Yeah, I think I could do better here,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. But you got to be able to step back every once in a while, catch your breath, and just say, wow, this is what I can work on to have a better life and to help others around me have a better life as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the benefit of bringing in somebody else to reflect on that is enormous.
Yeah, absolutely. We all get caught in, we get, tunnel vision, silos, however we want to phrase it. We all get caught there.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting, and, we know this, and I found this to be true with my clients. For some reason, an outside source is a higher authority of either knowledge or wisdom or whatever you might want to say. And we can all go back to, those of us that were athletes when we were growing up and we got advice from our coaches. And we go home
Mhm.
and tell our parents, hey, guess what Coach Joe told me today? And dad was like, I've been telling you that for years. So now,
Yes.
why is Coach Joe so special? So it's just very interesting, but that outside perspective really can carry a lot of weight. It's fascinating.
Yeah, that third party prophet knows so
Yeah,
much. They really do.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they're the smartest person in the room.
That's right. So, Farrell, we have been through what's been called the Great Resignation, quiet quitting, and now I think Gallup is referenced as the Great Detachment. The workplace we have today is in the middle of disruption. There is no doubting that. And according to Gallup, last year in 2024, we hit the lowest employee engagement score in 11 years.
Mhm.
I'd love to know, as you see this world of work, as you work with clients, what's your take on what's happening in the workplace today, and how do you begin to address that in your work that you do?
Okay, yeah, and I'm glad you referenced that Gallup information. I read the same information from Gallup as well. Very interesting. And I think what has happened there is there just seems to be a bit of a disconnect
Mhm.
between ownership and leadership and what I'll call traditional staff level. All right, let's just kind of put it that way. And in that article that you reference, it mainly stated that the younger generation, those 35 and under, are really the ones that are feeling disconnected. And this is
Mhm.
from are priorities being set properly? Do they know what they're supposed to be doing? You get into the empathy and compassion side of things. And I wish I could take credit for this, but I can't. I read it somewhere else. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. All
Yes.
right, it's just really that simple. And then you get into some inexperienced management. I've got some really good material, and the inexperienced managers are a big focus for me in my program. Like I said, I was a manager at the age of 22 way back when. I
Mhm.
wish I knew somebody like me 30 years ago. They're just not ready for it. They're not. They're getting tasked with stuff. They're just not ready for it. It's the soft skills.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a big part of what's going on. But the other part of this is you mentioned a couple of buzz phrases there, but there's also working the wage, which is another good one where you just go in and do enough to get your paycheck every Friday.
Mhm.
And then the counterpart to quiet quitting is quiet firing, where
Yes.
the employer takes on the situation of, okay, this isn't working out well. So, maybe we need to make a change. And how can we do that? So quiet firing is out there as well. Hopefully it's not going on too much, but we'll see. But I've looked at this quite a bit. In just 3 generations in my family, there has been an enormous shift in the what I'll call the loyalty and dedication between employer and employee. My father worked for Great Dane Trailers for 42 years. He's since
Mhm.
passed away. My brother-in-law's father worked for Delta Airlines for about 38 years, I believe. That was their primary career.
Mhm.
I was in the same industry of home building in Atlanta, but I think I had 7 jobs with different companies over the years, same industry for 36 years. Well, now I've got a 35-year-old nephew. He's on his third industry as a working
Yes.
professional. So just within 3 generations in my family,
Mhm.
we've seen a huge shift from that lifelong dedication
Mhm.
between employee and employer that shifted to different employees, that kind of, and now I think it's just so transient with
Mhm.
what's happening with the younger generation these days. And I know that the whole hybrid work environments, work from home, work from the office, there's a lot of that going on that is a big dynamic that employers have to figure out. And I think, in my experience, employers have done an okay job with this, I
Mhm.
think. They get into pendulum swinging and stuff like that, where nobody's in the office, then all of a sudden everybody's in the office. It's a tough balance, and I don't know if you have some experience with that as well. But do you have any thoughts on that? Also from your perspective.
Yeah, I think, the whole thing when we did have the mandate to work from home, right? When that
Hmm.
was the time, people took time to just step back and look at what am I doing with my life? What am I doing? Am I giving it all? They had their family there. So I think when people can understand what is the value I bring to work and how can it impact what the organization is doing, then
Hmm.
they feel heard, they feel seen, they see the critical piece that they bring to the table, and it's that connection of all these generations that we have together, right? We've
Hmm.
got 4 or 5 generations in the workplace, understanding each of us bring value, and rather than looking at, oh, you're not like me, it's how can you help me see things in a different way. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. This conversation could go on just about that forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I've got a speaking event coming up on this, but anyway, let's get more into your book. So let's look,
Yeah.
Farrell, at what qualifies as or what qualities would define an A-level leader, and how
Okay.
can leaders consistently inspire their teams to perform at that level?
Okay. I've got some really good leadership material in my program that's aside from the A Performer A Environment material, but I've got a handful of traits there.
Mhm.
And the first one is vision. Okay. Without vision, leadership, and direction, you will end up somewhere, but you don't know where it will be, and you won't know when you get there. All right.
Good point.
And so I like to kind of start with that. But leadership qualities include that also defining reality.
Mhm.
What is your circumstance, and how do you become a master of that? For example, when COVID hit us, golly, it's 5 years ago now that COVID hit. Isn't that crazy? I mean, our world turned upside down. I was a home builder. We couldn't get stuff. And my customers were mad because we couldn't get houses built in the quality and time, all the stuff that everybody knows. That was our reality, and we had
Mhm.
to adjust. And so defining reality is a big, big deal for a good leader. And you want to be able to influence it, but you can't control it. And I
Mhm.
like to say that in my homebuilding career, I lived in what I called a professional fishbowl, which meant everybody could see what we did every day. And that had, of course, positive feedback, and there were some negative things with it as well, that kind of thing. But I was in a professional fishbowl, and that was my reality. But other leadership traits include being approachable.
Mhm.
Do you want to be the corner office with an open door, or the corner office that people are hesitant to approach for guidance and leadership and problem solving? Be an open door leader. Next, delegation. I have so much fun with delegation in my material. And I don't know if are you a good delegator, Lisa?
I am learning to be a better delegator, but I was
Okay.
not.
Okay. All right. A lot, and it took me a long time to be a
Mhm.
delegator. Okay. I was a young, smart guy, and I wanted to prove to the world I could do anything and everything all the time. All that, I was one of those guys. So I didn't delegate as well as I could. And I've come up with three reasons for the lack of delegation.
Mhm.
Would you like to hear them?
I would love to hear them. Yes.
Outstanding. Yes. Here we go. The first one is, of course, nobody can do it as well as I can.
Mhm.
Second one is, gosh, if I want it done right, I've got to do it myself.
I've been
And
there.
yep, and to me, the granddaddy of them all, it'll take me longer to show someone how to do it
Mhm.
than just doing it myself. All
Yes.
right. Those are the three big ones that I've come up with, and I was guilty of all of those. But if leaders can become better delegators, number one, I think people will surprise you. Give them a
Mhm.
chance. There are a lot of smart people out there. Give them a chance. And then that will allow you and free you up as the leader to work on things that maybe you are the only one qualified to work on. And
Mhm.
so that delegation is a big, big deal. And then another big one here is identifying other leaders and getting them on your team as fast as you can. Don't be scared of smart people. Get
Mhm.
them on your team, give them direction, guidance, whatever, and let them go. They will make your life so much better. And, hopefully they'll be around for a long time. Maybe they won't. But I like to think that the time that you would spend together would be positive and productive for both of you, however, whatever that length of time is. But my goodness, identify the leaders and get smart people on your team as fast as you can. If you become a good leader, people will follow you and they will engage with whatever your mission or desire or goal is. That kind of thing. I'm convinced of it. But you have to be a good leader.
And what I hear in that too, Farrell, is when you can give people that vision of where you're going and give them the autonomy to help figure out how to get there. Like they
Mhm.
collaborate on that, they feel empowered, and you've got talking about that loyalty, like they see, okay, they need me here. So I really do
Mhm.
appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It matters. It really matters. And again, especially with that younger generation we talked about a little while ago. I don't want to say they're starved for leadership. That's a little dramatic, but they need leadership and guidance. And it's up
They
to
do.
us as that we'll call it the mature generation experience to provide that. It's a shift for us. We're the ones that have to figure out how to communicate with them. Okay. I mean,
Mhm.
this is their world of communication.
It really
That's
is.
not how I communicated. So I got some learning to do as well.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. So,
Yeah.
Farrell, what motivated you to write the book, A Performer, A Environment? Was there a particular person you wrote it for? And what do you hope readers would take away from it?
Okay. Yeah. I When I started this journey of mine to do my second career, and I actually started this about 10 years ago in my mind, and finally executed it a few years ago. But basically, I always knew I was going to write a book, and this actually is not my first topic material. I've got another, that'll be for the second book. We won't get into that now, but this material has become so important in my program that this is why I wrote the book on this.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you where the real impetus came. I've joined the National Speakers Association in
Mhm.
order to become a better speaker. I have to do that. But we had a guest speaker at our meeting. I think it was in April of last year. This guy was a fantastic speaker. And during the Q&A at the end, somebody asked him, said, okay, what would you have done differently in your career? And he was a seasoned, mature guy, 60, mid 60s, I guess. And he didn't even blink. And he said, me and my contemporaries all agree we should have written our first book sooner than we did.
Mm,
So I went home that day and said, okay, now I got to get it done. That was in April, and now I'm ready to publish. So that was a big thing for me, just to kind of get me out of the chair and get me writing the book. So that was a point. But I always knew I was going to write a book. So, but my audience for the book, I'm going to go big here. Okay, either go big or go home, right, Lisa?
that's right.
Okay, I believe every working professional should read this book,
Mm,
especially owners, directors, and managers, because it'll
mhm,
give them some very good perspective on how they can create this A environment that is so critical
mhm.
to success in all kinds of reasons. And so that's audience number one. Audience number two, and I didn't really realize this until I'd written the book, and I'm sure a lot of people could say the same thing. What is my exact audience? But every young adult who has completed their education by earning either a diploma, a certificate, or a degree, this is the first book they should read in order to get them engaged in the workplace.
Mhm.
It's just packed full of just good advice on how to engage in the workplace. Again, this is the soft skills that nobody's learning these anywhere. Colleges don't teach them. It's not their job to do that, but nobody's teaching these things. And with that, little plug here, graduation season is right around the corner.
That's right.
This will make an outstanding gift for, again, that grandchild, niece, nephew, child of a friend that's graduating, whatever the case may be. But it's just a really good book. And my final main message with the entire book is if you create an A environment and attain A performance on a somewhat routine basis, success will follow and failure will be rare. That is my main message.
And I love the focus that you made about people who are entering the workplace, right?
Hmm.
Because we have this destination of, okay, now I have this diploma, certification, whatever it is. Now I'm going to
Hmm.
go find a job. And a
Right.
lot of times there's nothing to bridge that gap. Employers are not going to teach you how to work in a workplace.
Mm-mm. No.
They're doing well if they even have an onboarding process for them.
Yeah.
So to be able to have this, and you shared your copy with me, a preview copy here to be able to see it. I like it does have some really great nuggets and just ideas of things that people need to know so they can be set up for success when they enter.
Yeah, and with this, it's up to everybody individually on the A performer side of things with some of the traits we talked about. But on the A environment material, yes, it is up to ownership and leadership to set the stage for it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody has to participate in this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is everyone's responsibility to help create and maintain that A environment. But again, with the guidance and direction of ownership and leadership, setting the stage. But everybody
Yes.
participates in this.
Yes. So could you explain a little bit about the connection between a person's performance level and their environment? You talk about that in the book.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Basically, on the performance level side of things, again, I like to start with attitude. It matters so much. But if people get like the wake up frame of mind I mentioned a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
if people can get in the right, what I'll call mindset, all right, and I'm not a clinical psychologist. I don't have any of those qualifications. I'm just a regular guy that has 60 years worth of life experiences. But basically, it's the attitude, it's the wake up frame of mind. If someone can approach the day in a positive frame of mind, that is what will drive the A environment material. So that will go help them create an A environment. And you get in this good synergy. And then one thing I haven't mentioned yet is what I call close external partners.
Mhm.
They are the individuals or companies that support your business on a routine basis. For example, with me in home building, it was the suppliers and subcontractors,
Mhm.
but it was also the bankers, the mortgage professionals, the closing attorneys.
Mhm.
I needed them all day, every day to perform. And so this influence is not only inside the doors of your organization, but it's how can you create that for your external partners to provide the highest level of product and service to you. Help them be A performers, help them create an A environment. And my goodness, nothing can stop you. So, but basically, it just starts with the A performer traits. And then if somebody's in a good mindset, then that to me will very quickly lead into the positive A environment on a routine basis.
Yes, very good. Very good. And it doesn't take very long to look around. Like there are places where we need to be working on these A environments. We need to have these
Mhm.
A performers, and that requires that we have change. So, what strategies would you recommend for overcoming the resistance to change in these teams and organizations who are trying to adopt these A level environments?
Okay, the first thing there is something that I have been thinking about for a while. I call it internal customer service. All right.
Yes.
And basically, the premise here is how efficiently and effectively are your associates and your external partners coordinating their efforts to provide your products and services to the marketplace.
Mhm.
Okay. I had a big issue with this, especially the bigger the company gets, the more challenging this is. This was
Mhm.
with me in my experience, and other people have confirmed this as well. But it's amazing, Lisa, how little some people realize that their internal performance affects their coworkers. People
Mm.
wearing the same logoed shirt, wearing the same hat, whatever it may be, we get into these silos and we get into this tunnel vision where you just focus on what you're doing without really understanding the impact of what it's going to have on your coworkers.
Mhm.
And so that's a big deal. So I do spend a lot of time on internal customer service. And if you don't have good internal customer service, how in the world do you think you can provide good external customer service? To me, they just go hand in hand. And then the second part of this that I spend a lot of quality time on is there has to be commitment.
Mm.
And I'll say commitment from ownership and leadership in four distinct areas. Number one, commitment to the vision and desire of the organization. What is it, again, what is it that you're wanting to do? Why is everybody there? You need to share your vision. People will help you get it. They'll help you achieve it. But number one is vision. Number two, commit to your internal associates, provide them the right environment. This is, proper compensation and, guidance and, all the stuff that, makes people want to come back and work in that environment, work for you, work for the company, whatever it may be. Commit there. Number three, commit to your external partners,
Mhm.
making sure that you provide them what they need in order to, again, succeed in the relationship with you. If you can do that and they know that you're a trusted partner, they will go to bat for you. They'll walk to the edge of the cliff with you. Trust me, I did this my entire career, was built in home building on needing outside services, and it really matters. And number four, and most important, commitment to your customers.
Mhm.
All the other stuff really just doesn't matter unless you commit to your customers. And that commitment means providing the product and services that you've agreed to. And this has, varying effects, whether it's physical, tangible products, widgets, gizmos, whatever, or if it's professional services.
Mhm.
If you can commit to providing the highest level of quality and service based on the arrangement, Now, let's be clear. We all know that there's a, standard, slide in GE range that costs about $400. And then you've got a Viking 6 burner cooktop with a double oven and this, that, and the other for $7,000. Okay. There's a wide range. Whatever you commit to, do the best you can with it, with your
Yeah.
customers.
Yeah.
And those are the big areas. Internal customer service and committing in those 4 areas are huge issues. If we can start with that, then that opens the door for other better decision making.
Yeah, and I think the point too about committing to your customers, if you want to give them the ultimate product experience, whatever it is that you're delivering, it means that your people on the inside need to be empowered to do their best because when
Hmm.
it all starts with them, right? The root is the people inside to be able to deliver what you need to your customers. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
really good
It really
point there.
matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really good point. So Farrell, what challenges would your clients typically face? So if somebody's sitting here, thinking, we've got some things going on in our company. What are some of the problems that your clients typically have where they know it would be a good idea to maybe have a conversation with you?
Okay. Yeah, it's another excellent question. And for example, I did some work with a company last week, no names, of course, and their internal dynamics between their sales force and their internal operations just aren't as solid as they need to be. Back to
Mhm.
this internal customer service theory. And so we spent some quality time last week on that, and everybody left with some good directives. But basically, we've got that. Then there's just in physical, tangible products, the supply chain issues. All right,
Mhm.
that I think we're over most of that with COVID, and it affected everybody differently. Every industry was impacted in different ways, all that kind of stuff. But how are your supply chain issues going, and how can you be, again, back to this external partner theory? If you provide a good environment, people will want to work with you. And what I used to always say
Mhm.
when in my home building side of things is when I had, for example, my plumber, either the night before or the morning of on their whiteboard, where are they going to go that day? I wanted to be on top of that list,
Mhm.
but I had a responsibility to provide the environment where they could succeed. But I wanted to be on top of that service list. And I believe that if companies can do this, when they need this external partner involvement, then you will be the account of choice that they will want to service. So we got that. Again, back to the Gallup situation, employee engagement and retention.
Mhm.
It's a big deal everywhere, Lisa. I'm sure you know more about that than I do with what you do, but that is a huge issue. We've already talked about that a little bit. But if your employees aren't engaged, then you're going to have challenges, and the retention is a big deal. I don't know if you want to pop in on a couple of these things. I know you're very close to that as well, but employee engagement is huge. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, and I think too, when you look at employee engagement, you pay someone 100% of their salary. When they are showing up giving 32%, which is what the Gallup average is right now,
Hmm.
that's
Yes.
68% of the income they are earning that you're not getting a return on investment.
Hmm.
And so we have to look at what is it that is causing this discontent. And there's a number of different factors that, I talk about quite frequently, or if you follow me on LinkedIn. But I think that the thing is our job as leaders is to look at what is it that we are expecting and where is the gap? Where does it fall in there, Farrell?
Hmm.
And I think your point about employee engagement and seeing these internal customers, that's where it all begins. I
Hmm.
really believe it does begin there.
Yeah, and one other point on that, in my management material that I've got, one of my main factors there is I believe there are 4 things that motivate people in the workplace. Number one is money.
Hmm.
Number two is responsibility.
Hmm.
Number three is recognition. And number four is affiliation.
Hmm.
Okay. And I like to say if you want a really good salesperson, their number one factor needs to be money. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all, because they'll get the deals. I mean, you got to have transactions, but others want responsibility. I wanted a lot of responsibility. I've managed, hired hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. I wanted that. And then on the recognition side of things, some people love walking across the stage to get awards and ribbons and stuff around your neck and all that kind of thing, which is fantastic. Others are like, you know what? Not for me. Just come shake my hand in my office when we get done, and that'll be good enough. So recognition. And then finally, affiliation. I think people want to be affiliated with positive environments, successful areas. And this is not just in professional life. This is your church, social clubs, athletic leagues, things like that. People want to be affiliated with other people that are like-minded and driven in the same fashion, that kind of thing. So those are the four. And it is up to leadership and management on an individual basis to identify what are those motivating factors for those individuals and how can your environment help to satisfy those. That to me is a true start in this employee engagement and retention. If the and this is not anything new. Okay,
No.
this happened to me, 40 years ago when I got in the workforce. It's just a little bit different now, as we've already talked, but that's always been a matter of importance.
Yes, and the continuing thread in there that I hear is people want to feel like they are worth something, that they are
Mhm.
valued. And
Yes.
so that's what I hear in there. Well, Farrell, it's very clear that you can help organizations, you can help teams, you can help individuals, whether they are looking at their individual performance or we're trying to create environments. What's the best way for people to reach you?
Okay, best way is email address, Farrell at thebellcurveoflife.com. Cell phone number, 678-618-2024. I return calls as fast as I can. My website is thebellcurveoflife.com, of course. I'm on LinkedIn with Farrell and with the Bell Curve of Life, and I've got a YouTube channel where it is at the Bell Curve of Life, and I've got little, generally 60-second reels. It is part of my Focus with Farrell series that I post on LinkedIn on a weekly basis, and it's just good little snippets and tidbits of my program material, 1 minute, and it'll give you something to think about, that day. And I've got all kinds of material there. So that is, those are the ways to get in touch with me. But basically, my email address is obviously that's how the world works these days. But that is how people get in touch with me.
All right. And I was just on a webinar last week where someone talked about that people really want to get a chance to get to know you before they work with you. So highly recommend following Farrell on LinkedIn and checking out
Mhm.
his YouTube channel. We will make sure to put all those links in the show notes. So Farrell, thank you so
Excellent.
much for being with us today.
Oh, I've had a wonderful time. Thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, no one ever said, I want to do a mediocre job. And Farrell has unpacked the formula on how to do it. Whether you're looking forward to the world of work or you're a seasoned veteran leading a team, be sure to pick up a copy of A Performer, A Environment to give you some inspiration and tips. And all of this to say is when we lean into doing work that we love to do, is we can find work that we truly love. So I'll see you here next week with more content to help you get closer to living out your potential on the way to your legendary self. Thanks for being with us.